Hello, my friends. So Tammie is sort of staying in the girl world zeitgeist right now, and I've been trying to give her the benefit of the doubt since she started talking. And I'd like to give her the benefit of the doubt going forward, but I don't know, man. I feel like it's starting to be a little difficult to do that. Basically, she posted some receipts today that are kind of making me wonder, why are we doing this? Why are we here? You know? And I want to make sure that you understand that I'm not trying to figure out if I'm going to take Amber's side or Tammie's side, because no matter what else happens, I am not on Amber's side, period. You know, I'm just trying to figure out what is going on with Tammie and why is she doing this? And honestly, the community is pretty split right now on Tammie in general and like what is going on here. And I don't blame them. Tammie has been pretty vague about why she's coming out now with all this. And everything she has said has been pretty lackluster. Hasn't been anything groundbreaking or earth-shattering. In fact, the most interesting stuff that we have found out over the last few days since Tammie's been talking has come from Amber. Like the whole I have money to sue you kind of thing. Plus just the way she reacted to all this. It showed a lot of gaslighting, a lot of narcissism, you know, her general MO. So yeah, I think Amber told on herself more than Tammie has told on her so far. And then Tammie released some receipts today, and we'll go over those in a minute, but I wanted to show you some of the comments because at first, when Aunt Tammie first decided to say something, I think overwhelmingly, the community was like, yes, let's hear it. Aunt Tammie, we're on Aunt Tammie's side. But the longer this goes, the less that's the case. I think a lot of people are like, put up or shut up kind of thing. And it's starting to feel like Tammie just wanted attention. But I don't know. You know, that's the thing, I don't know. But we'll go over kind of both sides here in this video. So interestingly enough, over on Instagram, on Despectful Moments post about the screenshots, you'll find a lot of negativity, a lot of people kind of tired of it or not really supportive of Tammie. Whereas on YouTube, it's a lot more positive. But we'll start on the more negative side of things over on Instagram. Stuff like, how embarrassing to put all this on the internet. That's fair. This person says, I feel like Aunt Tammie said her piece and should leave it alone. A lot of people saying, who cares? And this one's somewhere in the middle. It says, I don't like, let alone know Tammie, but all I care about is how she makes Amber go effing nuts. Too bad Amber didn't go live tonight. DoorDash must have been down. Because if you will remember, Amber told Tammie, I want to talk to you in my next live stream. And then she canceled her live stream. So what happened there, Amber? That kind of makes me think that Tammie's got more to say than we know. But one of the common sentiments that I'm seeing is that Tammie and Amber are a lot alike. Like this one says, it's kind of scary how similar the two are. Either the BPD is genetic or they're all crazy narcissists. But then over on YouTube, under the actual post itself, things are a little bit more positive. This one says, you seem like a supportive aunt that I wish I had. Would you consider going live? She's a mess. She'll never learn. Let her go. Talking about Amber. And this person says, keep it coming. Go live. You should start your own reaction channel. This person commented, StudioDeets did a video that I think you should watch. It really shows how supportive you were to Amber. And I actually will show a clip from that later in this video. This one says, Amber is just not a good person. She can blame it on a lot of things all she wants. But the truth is she's had the time and money to get help. Sometimes family needs to be written off. So it's generally supportive. You have my support. This one says, when I hear you speak, I empathize with it so much. And kind of gives a story about their toxic family. So the community is pretty split depending on where you are. But I do know that Amberlynn is a narcissistic, entitled, ungrateful, selfish brat. We know that. We know she is probably a terrible family member, a terrible friend, generally just a schmuck. But Tammie hasn't really said much. Most of the stuff that she's talked about is stuff we already knew or assumed. And I think that's what she needs to understand is like, we know that Amberlynn is probably not a great daughter. We know she's not a great niece. We know she's just generally a turd. But what we're hoping for when somebody like Aunt Tammie shows up and starts talking, we're hoping to get some proof of that. We're hoping that you can shine some light on some of the lies that she told. Things like that. Most of what we seem to be getting from Tammie is stuff like Amber didn't lift a finger to help her mom while her mom was in prison. And really, it was neither of their responsibility. And Tammie did step up and take care of her sister. But is that tea? Kinda, maybe? I don't know. It's not surprising. But the most important stuff, as far as like the relationship between Amber and Tammie, would be why they stopped communicating. Because Amber claims it was Tammie, Tammie claims it was Amber. And the only way we're going to get any actual resolution there is going to be with receipts. But let's go over the screenshots she shared today. I'm not quite ready to call them receipts just yet, but we'll see. The interesting thing about these screenshots is if you looked at them from the desktop version of YouTube, you can't really see the whole thing. On mobile, it actually shows the full screenshot. However, before we get to the actual screenshots, I wanted to talk about the post that Tammie made. It says, I have plenty more receipts, which, good, I hope we see some, showing years of mental abuse from her. I'm just gonna jump forward a little bit and say, I don't see any mental abuse in these screenshots. So I don't know what's gonna be shown in future screenshots, but that's not what's being shown in these. Tammie continues, says recent text where she excluded me after she got here. We texted about it, okay? Again, that's not these. It says we texted in October when she wanted something. We texted in November when she wanted something. And in December, etc., etc. So we'll get back to that in a second, but I want to show you the screenshots. Tammie is the blue bubble. And these texts right here are from October 3rd of 2023, the beginning of October. It says, I'm so excited to see you. I have a lot going on too, but we'll make time for us to catch up. That's good. Amber says, yeah, the movers are here right now. So she kind of dismisses the outreach, I guess, and just sort of makes an excuse, which that sucks, but so far no mental abuse or anything. And I don't see Amber asking for anything here. And then in this one, now this is at the end of October, where she says, it's been a long time coming. Building this relationship with my mom has been really nice. And Amber says, I want to see you soon. Okay, so that's at the end of October. And then on that same day, Tammie says, I want to see you too, but I was told I can only see you with your mom. And I felt very excluded. I'm glad you're getting time with your mom and getting adjusted. So from these three screenshots, it seems as though Tammie is trying to reach out, but can't see Amber without going through Mama Lynn for whatever reason. The problem is there's no real context for all this. And it does not show the mental abuse that Tammie talks about. They aren't recent. This is from 2023, which is kind of exactly what Amber said. Amber said that they actually spent Thanksgiving together in 2023. And the last contact she had with Tammie was in the following February.
So I moved here at the beginning of October. I didn't end up seeing my aunt again until like Thanksgiving. So it was almost 2 months later. So I went to her house for Thanksgiving. I saw all my family. It was so good. I saw my cousins. I saw her. So after Thanksgiving, I would message my aunt and I would just be like, how are you feeling? I know you had COVID. Like, how are you doing? She would like respond, but then like stop responding. She would never reach out to me first. Finally, in February of 2024, I sent her a picture of me and her from Thanksgiving, and I was just like, "Love you, miss you," and all she did was heart it, and she never like responded.
So as of right now, as far as these screenshots, these don't really prove anything. You can kind of infer from this one that Tammie was trying to see Amber, but somebody told her that she couldn't. But none of these really make Amber look like the horrible person that Tammie is claiming. So I hope that there are more receipts to prove what she's talking about, because I don't doubt that Amber caused the fallout and caused the lack of communication. I'm sure that's probably the case, but this doesn't prove anything. And honestly, if I were Tammie, and Tammie, if you're listening, my suggestion would be, don't talk about stuff that's in texts that you're not showing, because you're sitting here saying, I have texts showing mental abuse, but none of these show that. You have recent texts saying that she excluded you, and that's not these are not recent. And then it also says, we texted and she wanted something, and none of these show that either. I'm gonna just assume that you do have those texts, but you just haven't shown them yet. So, recommendation, don't mention stuff that you're going to show until you're ready to show it. So to close out this video, I wanted to show you a couple of different sides to everything, mainly to Tammie, but just kind of the situation. From the Instagram comments, there's one that says, as soon as Tammie said her daughter is estranged and she doesn't know why, she lost every shred of credibility she had. That line is right out of the Narcissistic Parent Handbook. And I'll show you that clip right now.
Amber's had a lot to say about your relationship with your kids. I don't know if you watched her stream.
Yeah, she wanted to bring up my daughter. Me and my daughter haven't talked in, man, unfortunately, I think it's 3 years this year.
Why?
And I too, with that, on the Bible, do not know 100% why I had all my grandkids spend the night before this happened. We had the greatest time. We ate, we painted.
That doesn't sound great. You know, I'd like to know why, but she doesn't know apparently. And that comment makes sense. It is a little strange that she doesn't know why her daughter won't talk to her. And it's either that or she doesn't want to say why. You know, so either way, it doesn't look great for Tammie. But nobody's perfect. If you disqualified somebody from being a victim just because they've done unethical things in the past or done things that aren't great in the past, there'd be no such thing as a victim, because we're all human. But it's still not painting a great picture. But let's look at a more positive aspect of Tammie. As I mentioned earlier, StudioDeets did a video about Tammie and about a time where Tammie was standing up for Amber and trying to help Amber, but Amber just kind of ignored her. The fact that she's standing up for Amber is part of it, but the timing of it actually adds to the story, and I'll get to that in a minute. So I recommend watching the entire video because there's a lot of context as far as Amber having a back and forth with a hater, quote unquote, and Tammie is trying to help Amber and saying stuff like, just block them, stop paying attention to them, you've got this, you're fine. But Amber just kept fighting with this hater.
It's okay, Amber. Don't get discouraged. Just continue moving forward like you are. Every change adds up and makes a difference, and don't pay attention to your hater. Just pray for it.
Now, in this comment, she's responding to the hater, who, by the way, is giving pretty constructive criticism and actually being pretty logical, but of course, Amber doesn't see it that way. I definitely recommend watching the video because it's actually kind of funny. But yeah, she's completely ignoring Tammie.
You only comment on my page when you think you know what you're talking about, to be rude or to prove some point. I am not getting defensive. I am replying, simply stating that you are wrong. Didn't you say you have lost 180-something pounds so far? You gained a lot of weight in your life, so clearly you had to keep failing at something as well, so you realized you were doing wrong in your life, and then you decided to lose weight. Everyone starts at different stages of their life. From one person to another, I am shocked you treat people the way you do, knowing at one point you weighed a lot as well.
So Tammie actually gives some more comments and tries to be more encouraging and continues to try to get Amber to stop arguing with the hater. I don't want to show the whole video, but I did just think Amber's comments were funny and worth hearing because she is just so smug and so entitled and she thinks she knows everything, just like now, you know. But remember, I said that the timing of this was interesting. In the comments section of the video by StudioDeets, somebody made a great point. It says Aunt Tammie's messages of support were only a year or two after Amber blackmailed her aunt. This shows how willing Tammie was to forgive Amber. So think about that. A year or two after Amber did the whole, what would your husband think? What would your abusive husband think if he found out you were having an affair? She was kind enough to send her this message. So it certainly feels like Tammie was willing to put their differences aside and actually try to be in Amber's life. And while I was actually recording this video, Tammie posted, it says, hope has clouded my vision for so long. Now that all hope has been put to rest, I'm beginning to see with clarity. And again, being pretty vague about everything, but I think what she's saying here is she had hoped that they could reconcile. She had hoped all this time that maybe things would get better. They would see the error of their ways or whatever. But now that she realizes that that's never going to happen, she can see with clarity. But I'm just going to say I would kind of like to see with that clarity as well. You know, if you want to show us something that could help us see with clarity, we would appreciate it for sure. But as of right now, I don't want to say I'm on the fence because I am definitely not on Amber's side, period. Like, no matter what else happens, I am not on Amber's side in this. But I'm a little bit on the fence as to why Tammie's doing this now. What is the point? What is she trying to say? What happened? And why is she doing this to her sister and Amber? The bottom line is, I don't know that it matters too much in the grand scheme of things. This may just peter out and become a nothing burger. Or she could share some of the best tea we've ever seen in gorlworld. We just don't know. So once we know more, and I think we will, I don't think Tammie is done, I will keep you posted. But this video was just to kind of tell you what I was thinking. It's kind of a stream of consciousness sort of video where I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And I don't want people to think that I am just blindly supporting Tammie. I want to make sure you guys understand that I'm giving this some thought. I'm really trying to figure this out because I don't know much more than you guys do. You know, so hopefully we can kind of figure this out together, and hopefully Tammie can actually give us some of this clarity that she's got. You know, let us hit that. Puff, puff, pass that clarity, you know? Was that cool? I'm pretty cool. Anyway, so I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.